In Argentina, that former One Direction star Liam Payne has been found dead at a hotel in Buenos Aires in Argentina.
Morning, everybody. Here's a little video of me. It's a lovely day here in Argentina.
The clearest image of Liam Payne moments before his tragic death stunned the world. Captured just before everything spiraled out of control, it left fans and friends shattered. They gathered outside his hotel, unable to process the unimaginable loss of a beloved star at just 31. But what no one knew was the battle he was silently fighting behind closed doors, a struggle deeper than anyone could have imagined. Tune in as we uncover the haunting truth behind that fateful night, where fame hid the darkest secrets. The weight of fame. Fans couldn't believe the news. Many gathered outside the hotel for hours, standing in shock and sadness. Later, they organized a candlelight vigil to honor Liam's memory. People lit candles, sang songs, and shared stories about how much Liam meant to them. Charlotte Gallagher, a reporter, said that while Liam had enjoyed fame for a long time, he sometimes struggled with the constant attention and pressure. But what the world didn't know was that Liam had been hiding a deeper struggle, one that would soon come to light. The hotel in Buenos Aires quickly became the focus of attention. Police were called earlier to investigate a disturbance. There were reports that a man at the hotel might have been acting strangely, possibly influenced by substances. These details made the situation even more mysterious. One fan, heartbroken by the news, rushed to the hotel as soon as they heard. "I can't believe this is real," they said, fighting back tears. Many people who loved One Direction spoke about how the band had shaped their childhoods. His voice and music were a part of their lives for years, and now they couldn't imagine a world without him. Earlier that same day, Liam Payne had posted on social media, saying it was a beautiful day in Argentina. No one could have guessed that just hours later, this tragedy would unfold. His journey into the spotlight started when he was only 14, when he first auditioned for the X Factor in 2008. But it wasn't until 2 years later, when he joined One Direction, that his life changed forever. One Direction became one of the biggest bands in the world. They released hit after hit, traveled the globe, and built a massive, devoted fan base. But could this huge success have come at a heavy price? Could the bright lights of fame have been hiding the darker struggles that he quietly fought behind closed doors? In 2016, the band took a break that seemed like it might last forever. Afterward, each member, including him, started a solo career. He even became a father, sharing a child with Cheryl, a former member of Girls Aloud. Despite all the success he had on his own, he faced tough personal battles. He openly talked about his struggles with mental health and his issues with alcohol. Fame, which had once seemed like a dream, sometimes felt like a cage. He shared how the band's management would lock them in their hotel rooms to protect them from the crowds outside, leaving him feeling alone with only a minibar for company. Still, he remained close to his former bandmates. Just a few weeks before his death, he was spotted having fun at a concert by Niall Horan, his friend from One Direction. Fans had always hoped for a reunion of the band, imagining the day when they might perform together again. Now that dream seems impossible, leaving fans to wonder what could have been. Charlotte Gallagher wrapped up her report for BBC News, expressing the deep sadness that fans and the music world feel right now. Joshua Ron, an entertainment journalist who had met him several times, said he was completely shocked by the news of his passing. Joshua Rowe could hardly believe what he was hearing. At first, like many others, he thought it was just a rumor. But as he searched through different news sources, the truth became clear. Even TMZ confirmed the heartbreaking news. Liam Payne, the world-famous singer, was gone, and it happened far too soon, at just 31 years old. The sadness spread quickly, touching people all around the world. In Buenos Aires, where he was when he passed, reports started to come out suggesting that drugs or alcohol might have played a role. Everyone knew that he had gone through hard times in his life. In late 2022, he spent 100 days in rehab, openly talking about his struggles. He was brave enough to face his challenges, but the sadness of his passing was too much for many to handle. Those who loved him or even just listened to his music felt a deep loss. Joshua Rowe had met Liam Payne once, and he remembered how honest and humble the singer had been. It was back in 2017 Not long after his partner Cheryl had given birth to their son Bear, he had been overjoyed, filled with love and excitement about being a dad. He couldn't stop talking about how much his family meant to him. This was around the time when his famous band, One Direction, had decided to take a break. It was supposed to be just a pause, but later everyone realized the break was permanent. As the band members went their separate ways, each worked on their solo careers. He spoke about how hard it was to stay on top in the music industry, not just competing with his former bandmates, but also against superstars like Drake, Justin Bieber, and Lady Gaga. But even though there was competition, he didn't seem to feel any rivalry with the other One Direction members. In fact, he had gone to Argentina to support Niall Horan, showing how close the former bandmates still were. Now pause for a moment and imagine, what must have been going through his mind during those final moments? Was he thinking of his music, his family, or the struggles he tried so hard to overcome? It makes you wonder, what really happened that night? Losing someone as young and talented as Liam Payne is incredibly heartbreaking. People everywhere, from fans to friends, were shocked and saddened by the news. The grief poured out in so many ways, with tributes from people who loved his music and those who knew him personally. The BBC even created a special live page where tributes from celebrities all around the world could be shared. It was a clear sign of how much he meant to so many. Mark Savage, a music reporter, described how fans gathered outside the hotel in Buenos Aires, crying and sharing their grief. Social media was also flooded with messages. One of the most touching came from Ollie Murs, a fellow X Factor contestant, who said he was heartbroken to lose a friend who shared the same passion for music and dreams of success. Another person who shared a moving tribute was Jerry Halliwell, a TV host and former Spice Girl, who remembered him from when he first auditioned for the X Factor at just 14 years old. She talked about his incredible talent, even as a young teenager. One of the most heart-wrenching tributes came from Harry Styles' mother. She posted a picture of him with the simple caption, "Just a boy." Those 3 words carried so much weight, showing the sadness of losing someone so young. He became famous as part of One Direction, a band that was a worldwide sensation between 2010 and 2015. They sold over 70 million records globally, and he was always seen as the friendly one, eager to connect with fans. He was grateful for their support and never took it for granted. But he wasn't just a performer. He co-wrote many of One Direction's biggest hits, and after the band's break, explored different kinds of music in his solo career. He even collaborated with stars like Ed Sheeran and J Balvin. His love for music was clear in everything he did. He approached his work with thoughtfulness and care, always trying to create something special. It's what made his passing so much more painful for those who knew him. As the world continues to mourn, people will remember him not only for his incredible talent, but for his kindness too. Next, we see Liam at a turning point, tackling his fame and searching for his real identity. Behind the world of success, Payne joined the conversation looking refreshed and excited to share what he's been through. His solo career started with a huge success, the song "Strip That Down," which was streamed more than 8 billion times. This wasn't just a big achievement, it also gave him a lot of confidence. But behind that success, there was a long and personal journey. He explained how making his first album as a solo artist took 2 years. In that time, he worked carefully to figure out who he wanted to be as a solo singer. It was very different from his time in One Direction. When he was in the band, albums were made quickly. They had to be written and recorded in just 2 weeks so they could go on tour, which was already planned and sold. But now, working on his own, he had the time to really dive deep into his music and think about what kind of artist he wanted to be. When he was with One Direction, the pace was always fast. They barely had time to write songs before they had to record them, all while flying from one place to another for shows and events. But now, as a solo artist, Liam Payne had the freedom to take his time. He was able to work with different musicians and explore new sounds. More importantly, he could figure out who he was outside of the group. He wasn't just looking for a new sound, he was searching for himself. This part of his journey was deeply personal. While making the album, he went through a lot of changes in his life. One of the biggest changes was becoming a father, which had a huge impact on his music. He also went through ups and downs in his personal relationships, and these experiences influenced the songs he was writing. He promised that the album would reflect different stages of life, offering something for everyone to connect with. As he spoke, you could feel the weight of his words. This was more than just music for him. What kind of songs were hidden in those years of soul-searching? Could they reveal a side of him that no one had seen before? The conversation then turned to his Christmas single. He admitted that he hoped it would become a holiday classic. For many artists, creating a Christmas song is a dream. Christmas songs last for years, and some become part of family traditions. He felt the pressure, but he embraced it, aiming to write a song that would bring comfort during the holiday season. Christmas is a time when people often think about lost loved ones or past relationships, and he wanted his song to speak to those feelings. He wanted it to be a song that would help people feel less alone during that emotional time of year. But would this new song become a holiday favorite? Only time will tell. As the interview went on, he looked back on his journey. He talked about how he started as a hopeful teenager on a talent show and became a global pop star. But with fame came a lot of pressure. He was honest about how hard it was to handle everything. At one point, he knew he had to step away from One Direction to take care of his mental health. The constant attention and the fast pace of life were too much, and he realized he needed help. So he decided to take a break and see a therapist. Therapy helped him deal with his fears and challenges. It was a brave step, and one that was necessary for him to move forward. Would the same fans who cheered him on during his rise to fame still understand his need to step back? The answer to that could change everything. This decision to pause his career came at a crucial moment. After leaving the band, he described his life as almost like an early retirement. All the motion, the spotlight, and the excitement were gone. He had to learn how to live without always being in the public eye. Therapy helped him figure out who he was outside of the fame. It helped him untangle his feelings about his success, his fears, and his future. Another key part of his journey was his decision to become sober. He explained how stepping away from alcohol gave him a new perspective on life. Without drinking, he had to face his emotions head-on, without any distractions. This time of sobriety was hard, and at times it felt lonely, but it also brought him a lot of clarity. He learned a lot about himself, both personally and professionally. Sobriety wasn't easy, but it opened his eyes to what he truly wanted in life. Would his newfound clarity be enough to keep him grounded in the future? Throughout the interview, he talked about how important it is to communicate and seek support when dealing with mental health issues. He urged people to reach out for help instead of trying to handle their problems on their own. His experiences showed how fame can be overwhelming, but also how personal growth is something everyone goes through, whether they're famous or not. The conversation ended on a lighter note, with him looking forward to Christmas. He was excited about spending the holidays with his son. He talked about how much he was looking forward to sharing the magic of Christmas with him. From cooking dinner to wrapping presents, he couldn't wait to enjoy the simple pleasures of the season. It was clear that after all the highs and lows of fame, he had found happiness in the small, everyday moments of life. Let's uncover the hidden conflicts within One Direction that were overshadowed by their fame. Shattering the perfect image. In the middle of the worldwide excitement about One Direction, a shocking announcement came out. Zayn Malik was leaving the band. Despite the band's perfect image, Zayn confessed that he never really felt like he fit in. Many fans knew that One Direction had been put together during their time on The X Factor, a decision made by Nicole Scherzinger, not Simon Cowell like many had thought. The band rose to worldwide fame quickly, grabbing the attention of fans everywhere. But behind the scenes, things weren't as perfect as they seemed. The band struggled with problems from the inside. Simon Cowell had made big promises about success when the band was formed, but those promises came with hidden conditions. The band members often disagreed and had different ideas about their roles and futures. From the beginning, Zayn felt like an outsider, a feeling that was hidden well in their music videos. Behind the cameras, tensions were high and arguments were common. The management team had tight control over everything about the band, from their hairstyles to their clothes. Zayn was known as the quiet bad boy, while Harry Styles became the charming heartthrob. Liam Payne was seen as the serious one, Louis Tomlinson was the funny one, and Niall Horan, sadly, was often left out and didn't get as much time to shine as the others. These young stars were thrown into a world of fame, and their personalities were shaped by management to fit a certain image. This control even extended to their music. Zayn mentioned that if they tried to change anything about their style, it would be quickly corrected to fit the pop sound management wanted. Even with this control, One Direction kept making hit after hit, and as their fame grew, it seemed like they had more control over their careers. But this was far from the truth. Yet the non-stop schedule was starting to break them down. Niall had a knee injury. Liam was secretly struggling with addictions. Zayn battled anxiety and an eating disorder, problems that were hidden by management to keep up the perfect image. Behind their happy smiles and well-rehearsed public appearances, the band members were struggling with the heavy weight of their fame. What the public didn't see was that One Direction, while appearing to have everything, was falling apart on the inside. Each member was carrying hidden struggles that the world wasn't ready to hear. Could this band that seemed to have it all really be on the edge of falling apart? Fans had no idea what was happening behind closed doors. Despite everything, One Direction's influence was massive. Their fans often said the band had changed their lives. For the band members, this was both amazing and overwhelming. However, the darker side of their fame was kept hidden from the public. Simon Cowell, who many credited with their success, was also a source of frustration for the band. After Zayn left, fans noticed small hints in their music that showed the band's true feelings about being controlled. Other artists who were managed in a similar way also made vague remarks, suggesting that what One Direction experienced wasn't unique. It was a larger problem within the music industry. After leaving One Direction, the members found new freedom to explore their own music and personalities. Free from the management's strict image, they were able to work on projects that were more meaningful and personal. This freedom changed their lives, showing that leaving the band wasn't just important, it was life-changing. Thanks for watching. Given their struggles under management, was One Direction's success worth the cost? Like, comment on your thoughts, and subscribe for more discussions.